should go to once we see the chaos that were witnessed in the country yesterday. Now, 3 people lost their lives yesterday during the anti-government demonstrations in Mlolongo, Machakos County. Protests were also witnessed in various parts of Nairobi, with property worth millions destroyed as Kenyans took to the streets to decry the high cost of living. The protests come in the wake of Azimio la Umoja leader Raila Odinga calling on Kenyans to protest against President William Ruto's administration, which he has termed as illegitimate. Let's take a look at that story.
Mlolongo, Machakos County, anti-government protesters took to the streets to voice their frustrations against the government, as urged by Azimio leader Raila Odinga. However, the protests took a different turn after 3 people lost their lives with dozens of others injured after a battle ensued between the protesters and the police officers, with the police castigated for the use of excessive force. In Kisii County, the law enforcers engaged in running battles with protesters after supporters of Governor Simba Arati and those of Majority Whip Silvana Sosoro engaged in a fight before the police intervened. Former Kisii Deputy Governor Josh Mangi has urged Raila Odinga to tone down the demonstrations and let the government deliver, insisting that the cost of living will not be brought down through demonstrations.
No way you can reduce the cost of unga through maandamano. Instead, what you're doing, you're increasing the cost, because people today, there's no business going on. Our children did not go to school today. People are not even doing farming today because there's maandamano. Only one way of reducing the cost of unga is by producing more maize. And that's why I support the president 100%, that we subsidize fertilizer so that we promote production of maize.
In Nakuru County, police were forced to use tear gas canisters after the protesters took to the streets. Most businesses in the area remained closed, while others were looted, with the protesters calling out President William Ruto for the high cost of living, contrary to what he promised during the campaigns.
Alafu sasa hawa watu wa Zakayo wanakuja na hizi silaha, wanataka kutuua kwa sababu tunaandamana kwa haki yetu. Hatutawacha kuandamana.
Unga imepanda bei, hata sufuria hadi saizi inatoboka. Umeona? Sasa mimi naomba bei ya unga iteremke. Amen. Mnasikia? Hata nyinyi mkirudi huko juu mwambie mimi nachuna unga mara 3 naachia mtoto. Siwezi chuna mara 5 kama kitambo.
Kwanza mahali tulikuwa naenda na 30 bob, sasa hii inafaa tuende na 50 bob. Wananchi wanalia kusema ukweli. Cause ukiambia mtu atoe pesa, atoe hata 50 mahali ya 30, anaona ni ngumu.
In Emali, Makueni County, police officers were overpowered by protesters, with a police car burnt and one person reportedly succumbing to his injuries. The situation was the same in Kisumu, Homa Bay, Mombasa, with officers on the radar for the excessive use of tear gas around schools in Nairobi County. However, the question remains, who is to blame for the demonstrations and the loss of lives? Ian Keitani, Lukap TV.
That's exactly how then those particular demonstrations ended up in the country yesterday. Ojuka, today, if you're going to look directly into the eyes of the Azimio coalition leader Raila Odinga and tell him you're the reason why those 3 people lost their lives at Mlolongo yesterday, are in the headlines today, would you take him anywhere just because of that? He will tell you no.
But Article 37 allows free picket and peaceful demonstration, yes, right? But it doesn't allow you to interfere with anybody who has got nothing to do with your business. I get the point.
Yes.
And I think, to me, all blame should be on Azimio leaders. Yes.
If you listen to this last protester who was spoken today and said, well, listen, this guy's for Zakayo, and the president knows, Kenyans have called him Zakayo, so we're just going to use that word here today in the morning. Last word was Zakayo.
I don't know Zakayo.
Yeah, Zakayo, you don't know. The president knows that it's called Zakayo. He actually knows that majority of people call him Zakayo. Anyway,
I don't know Zakayo in the book.
We're going to go on. He said that watu wa Zakayo alafu wanakuja wananiambia wanameongezea bei ya mafuta. Saizi nikaambia mtu niongezee mbao kwa place ya 30, mtu anakataa. All right? That indeed, whatever policies that he's trying to introduce right now, those are the ones the majority of Kenyans are saying no to. All right? So, Ojuka, if Kenyans are saying no, then isn't it the right time for the president to respond? Is that not a clear indication that this time that he's asking for is not what Kenyans want right now?
It's true, Phil, is the price of fuel has gone high.
Yes.
It's true.
Yes.
But it's not a Kenya Kwanza, problem. Can you go to TZ, the neighboring country?
Yes.
Here?
Is it okay for me to bring to your attention that currently as it is, in the East African region, we are leading in terms of the cost of fuel. In fact, we've even gone beyond what some states in the US sell, a liter of fuel at. Even in South Africa, we are way ahead of them right now. 40% of the cost of fuel is just purely on taxes in the country.
But Simba, you're becoming so dishonest to Kenyan people because you compare the Kenyan economy with the US economy.
Is it okay for us to compare it with our peers in the region?
No, we can't compare Kenyan
Go to TZ, the same TZ that you're talking about, the same Uganda that you're talking about, the same Rwanda we're talking about, we're now way ahead of them. We were at par before the introduction of the 16% VAT, but now we are way beyond what they are.
You know,
is that what makes Kenyans angry, Ojuka, this
We
morning?
need to understand the cause of the crisis we're facing now as Kenyans.
Yes.
The crisis we're facing as Kenyans as we speak was caused by the previous government.
That's the same question.
The government...
Is that going to make Kenyans angry? Ojuka, you right now, it is 9 months into office, isn't it? When are you going to stop talking about the previous administration and talk about your administration?
Then,
every time somebody from Kenya Kwanza gets a microphone to speak,
yes,
they are still reminding Kenyans that, hi, this is not our problem. Guys, this is not our problem. We didn't cause this. Are you going to sit there, Ojuka, and pretend that, one, President William Ruto was not in the previous regime?
It's like you judging President Kibaki, who performed well when he was a VP. You were doing him justice. Let me tell you, my brother, the CEO and the de facto Minister of Finance is president. So when Uhuru was the president in the previous government, then you can't put all blames on President William Samoei Ruto.
Well, what do you think makes Kenyans angry, Ojuka?
Yes.
The 20 counties in the country that heeded Raila Amolo Odinga's call to go to the street. What do you think makes them angry?
Because of the high cost of living, which was not brought by Kenya Kwanza government. The Kenya Kwanza government is there to provide solution, amicable solution to Kenyan people.
Yeah.
Why don't we give them time to work for Kenyans?
So if Kenyans are telling you we're not going to give you time because the cost of living is unbearable, do you still turn around and tell them, well, you got to give us time because this is not our problem, because that's the communication that is coming from the Kenya Kwanza government? Which is what Miguna, by then, I'm sorry to cut you short, which is what Miguna is talking about this morning. That I feel it is a failure of communication that you, Ojuka, domiciled within the Kenya Kwanza government, every time you get a chance to speak, the best hit out for you is, guys, it's not our problem. It is the same people who are telling you right now about the cost of living that were trying to correct their mistakes. And every time you speak, you're telling Kenyans, you see that man, Raila Amolo Odinga, who's telling you to go back to the streets and riot? It was part of that problem.
But now...
So, don't you think that's not a solution, Ojuka?
Simba Street can provide solution. Street protests can provide solution. Where on earth?
Regardless now, Ojuka.
I think in my opinion,
yes,
my humble opinion, President, I can be in a position of foreseeing that President William Samoei Ruto will salvage the situation where we are now, if he can be given time to work for Kenyan people.
Yes, just before I cross over to Justina, are you aware that civil service unions conducted a survey or a poll in the country towards the reenactment of the Finance Bill into the Finance Act 2023, and 90% of Kenyans said we do not need or we do not want this finance bill?
The so-called group you mentioned before are being financed. We know the financials. I think, Simba, if you want to be so honest to Kenyan people, the protest cannot provide the solution to Kenya. I mean, the situation where we are now.
Yes.
We need to sit down as a community, as Kenyans, as Kenyan people, as leaders, to have an amicable dialogue. Because you see, if you see the leadership of, the top leadership of Azimio, these are the people who can be here in the future. So we don't know whether they are trying to destroy Kenya because in future they won't be there.
Yes.
I think the man William Samoei Ruto, President William Samoei Ruto, is the best man ever the best president ever, and I can compare him with Kibaki, and he's in a position to salvage the situation we have in now.
It's been 9 months.
Just 9 months. Operating under the previous regime.
Yes, just let me. Yes, Ojuka is saying, look here, and this is the problem that majority of Kenyans keep on pointing out, and we've had it from the polls that we as Look Up TV have kept on conducting, that every time our government gets a chance to address our problems, they keep on referring to the previous regimes, and it's not our problem. We are trying to correct the mistakes of the previous regime. That some of the promises that they came into the government with were immediately negated upon taking over office. And in fact, they would essentially point them down to it. The taxes we're talking about right here, Justin Omai, one president, William Ruto, is on record saying we are not going to add taxes on fuel. He's saying, well, we're not going to introduce new taxes. But right now, Kenyans are faced with a flurry of taxes. Some they've even said no to, blatantly, to one president, William Ruto. They're presenting, or the government is presenting this scenario of, we know, and we are telling you. And that's what Raila Amolo Odinga and the Azimio Coalition is using to fill demonstrations across the country. They're telling you that they know, but you're not feeling it. Do you think it's a problem of communication, Justina Omai? Is that what is bedefiling the Kenya Kwanza government right now?
It's a problem of how we vote. I remember there's a time Kenyans were saying, let us vote for Sonko because he's the one who's going to remove Kidero. And then what? You know, we are always conditioned to just think about the election. We forget about delivery. Who can